Hey Centerpoint, what's up? It's Bryant, and I just wanted to give you guys a quick update of everything that's happening at Centerpoint. And the first thing I just want to say is we are praying for you. And I just want to keep encouraging you. Go to our website, centerpointfl.org, fill out a prayer request form. But our staff and team members, we're trying to call as many people as we can at CC and just ask, how are you doing? How can we pray for you? And I just want you to know that during this season, we're standing with you. I know COVID-19 affects everybody differently. It's impacted all of our lives differently, but we're standing with you in whatever way we can. But here's the purpose of this video. I actually really wanted to just commend you for how you're standing with our community. One of the verses that kind of rose to the forefront of my mind recently was something that Paul wrote in Philippians when he said this, and he wrote it to a church during a period of time where there was so much uncertainty like what a lot of us are walking through right now. And here's what Paul wrote to this church. He said, "My God will meet all of your needs according to the riches of His glory in Christ Jesus." And what's interesting about the context is Paul was writing to a church who had been extremely generous to him when no other churches would. Because again, there was a lot of uncertainty. They didn't have a lot of margin. It took sacrifice. It took a step of faith to be generous to help Paul in what he was doing in delivering the gospel. And basically what Paul says is, hey, listen, here's the promise. When you're willing to be generous in the midst of uncertainty, when it actually requires some faith, God's going to honor that. Like God's going to bless that, and God's going to do something through that, and God's going to see you through. And I just think that represents our church so well in this season, because when it would be easy to honestly go inward, our church has been outwardly focused more than ever before. And when it would be easy to be less generous, even if you haven't been impacted directly yet, just the fear or the uncertainty of what might happen, it would be easy to be less generous. Instead, you've been more generous. And your generosity in uncertainty is making a massive impact. And here's what I know. Some of you have been affected with job loss or loss of hours, and you haven't been able to give in the same way. But then many of you who God's continued to bless during this season, you've actually given more. And it's making such a huge impact. In fact, I just want to read a couple things because there's no way I'm going to remember all of this. But here's a little snapshot at what your financial generosity is doing in our community during this season. Over the last couple of weeks, we've given over 2,000 pounds of food so far to Echo during our Tuesday and Thursday food drive, which happens every Tuesday, Thursday, 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. I haven't heard the totals for this last week, but that's been a huge sustaining force for Echo in feeding people who are in need right now. In fact, we even got a little shout out on the Osprey Observer. I sent out an email where you can link to that, but I'm so proud of our church for that. Let's keep that going every single week on Tuesday, Thursday. We also have a bunch of people, part of our groups, that are making dozens and dozens of masks for our workers on the front lines in our community. The other thing we're about to do is give a bunch of cards and gift cards to those who in some ways kind of feel forgotten in some of our nursing homes and other places in our community where they can't have contact. And we have an army of people who are putting that together right now. We've given paper goods and toiletries to Portamento of Hope, supplies to Valrico Elementary, toiletries and personal hygiene products to Amazing Love Ministries, personal hygiene, cleaning supplies, pantry items to Family Promise, all of those things that most of you aren't even aware of, but your generosity is making that happen. And what you need to know is our church is continuing right now to give 10% of our income off the top to our partner organizations, along with all of our mission and partnerships. In fact, we have City Walk Church, a 1.5-year-old church that you continue to support right now monthly. And all of these organizations that are on the front lines of helping the marginalized and the hurting right now, we've vetted, we believe, the best partner organizations in our city. And so for you to be able to help the community, all you have to do is continue to give, because we're continuing to give away to our community. A couple other things that you've helped directly invest in is we saw over 6,000 people attend our Easter online experiences. That's not how many people engaged online. It was far bigger than that. That's the people that actually significantly kind of engaged and watched a good portion of our Easter services. We saw nearly 1,000 people engaged in our CC Live Kids Jam experience. We're about to launch in another week a Saturday Night Live experience for our kids. All of the upgrades that you've seen with our online experience, all of that has been brought to you by those who are generously giving, and it's making a massive impact. We have people every week who are logging on and telling us stories about the fact that they're attending Centerpoint from Tennessee and Idaho and Colorado and New York and Maryland and Pennsylvania. And we're about to launch digital groups where people can engage in a group wherever they're at from around the country. We're about to launch our first online starting point group for those who are new to faith or new to just following Jesus or have questions about faith. We've had our biggest registration for Starting Point ever for this digital group. And a lot of those are people who make first-time decisions to follow Christ over Easter weekend. So I just want to tell you, I can't overstate enough what you're doing. In fact, just to give you this little highlight, the week of Easter, we had over 150,000 engagement. That number is right. 150,000 engagements on social media. And so literally, the spread of Centerpoint and the door that's being opened to the gospel is bigger than ever before. And I just want to thank you guys for all that you're doing. A couple other things real quick is many of you may know that Unfiltered Radio is a broadcast that airs through Centerpoint every single weekday at 9:30 a.m. and 6:30 p.m. We're growing by tens of thousands of listeners specifically in this season during COVID. And what you give helps sustain that all over the country. It's literally growing all over these 6 counties, but all over the country. And then we also have been able to continue to just develop our online digital campus. And in fact, with the way that God is growing this, our team is beginning to just put together plans for a full digital campus that will be able to meet people wherever they are from around the country. And so I just want you to know that what you are doing matters. And so thank you for your generosity. Thank you for really, in the words of Paul in Philippians, giving when it would be easy not to give, being generous when it would be easy not to be generous. And I think that reflects the heart of first century followers of Jesus. It's why we're here. And so I just want to encourage you, continue to give. If you were in plate, you can continue to mail that in, as many of you are doing. Another great option is to switch to online giving. That helps my family because it's just incredibly convenient. You can give via the CC app. You can give online. You can set up recurring giving. And you can also now give by just texting Centerpoint FLVC to 77977. That's Centerpoint FLVC to 77977. But I just want to encourage you. You are having more impact than ever before in the history of our church. And we may look different on a weekend and we're not meeting physically on site, but we have groups meeting all over our city and we have people serving all over our city and we're reaching people all over our city and beyond. And so our mission hasn't changed. We're still here to tear away every unnecessary barrier for people to find life and freedom in Jesus. And that's what it means to be an alternative to church as usual. So thank you guys for digging in and going, we're going to be the church in this season and allowing God to use you in such an extraordinary way. And then last thing, this weekend, cannot wait. Part 2 of Tough as Nails. And I'm maybe most excited about this message, and I've been excited about a message in a long time. It's a great weekend to invite. And I've been encouraging everybody with this. If you would just share one thing on Instagram or Facebook, you'd be surprised at the reach. Every week we're having stories all over the place because a friend, maybe in another state, shared something and then their friend started logging on and, in their words, attending Centerpoint Church. One of my favorite stories, and I'll get ready to end with this, is in Tennessee. We just got a note the other day that a couple had been invited by the wife's sister who lives in Tampa. They've been invited to watch Centerpoint online during Easter. Well, the sister that got this invite in Tennessee was shocked because she's been trying to invite her sister and brother-in-law to church for years and had basically given up hope. And then she got this message and found out that her sister and brother-in-law had been attending Centerpoint Church the last couple months before COVID and absolutely loving it and beginning to ask questions about faith that they'd never done in their life. And they talked about the fact that they felt safe at Centerpoint, which is what so many other people say. Well, long story short, they began attending in Tennessee, and then they invited their parents to attend. And now literally, in their words, from Tennessee to Valrico with a bunch of family members, they're all digitally every week logging on and attending church at Centerpoint and beginning to have questions answered about faith that they've never experienced before in their family. And so that's one of, I'm serious, a bunch of different stories. Another lady this week talked about sharing something on social media, and an old friend from high school started watching in Idaho and absolutely loved it, and God began to work in her heart. So thank you guys for what you're doing. I could keep going on all day, but this weekend, Tough as Nails Part 2, share something, let somebody know. And we are introducing you to our brand new student pastor, Bradley Hamilton, and his wife this weekend. So if that wasn't enough, this is exciting in the life of our church. We're more committed to our next gen than ever before. In fact, I think next gen during this season is maybe more important than ever. And so we are committed to invest everything we can in our next generation. Bradley is going to help lead us forward in this area of ministry with our students in middle school, high school. So don't miss logging on at 9:30 a.m. You can rewatch it anytime throughout the day or week on YouTube, going to our website at centerpointfl.org or on Facebook Live. So love you guys. We are standing with you. We want to help you. Make sure you reach out to us as we're trying to reach out to you, and thank you for standing with our community. Love you guys.